I'm Edie Lush, and I'm inside the Hub Culture studio. Really pleased to be with Sarah Backhouse. Thanks for coming along.
Of course, wouldn't miss it.
So, tell me first of all, what are you taking away from Davos this year?
Well, as always, I look at Davos through the lens of my members, who are either chief communications officers or chief sustainability officers. And I feel like in both functions, the moment is now. I mean, if you look at the theme of Davos, the shift away from shareholders to all stakeholders, and inherent in that is a real view around sustainability. So if I had to narrow it down, I'd say it's climate, climate, and climate. But let me explain. The first climate is actually the climate of Davos this year, which if you look around, it's somewhat subdued.
It's a little bit quieter, doesn't it? We've been commenting on that actually here.
There's not the throngs of the crowds, there's not that many cars on the promenade. You know, many world leaders are absent. I just saw that Italy's Prime Minister cancelled putting out fires back at home. So it is definitely quieter from that regard. And people wonder what is causing that. It might be some kind of anxiety or fear. I attended the Edelman Trust Barometer, which is always a great place to set the tone.
Yeah.
And there are signs of fear. I think 83% of people surveyed had fears for their jobs in the future, be it from automation, gig economy, reskilling. So there is a little bit of instability, a little bit of uncertainty, and maybe that's reflected here. The other climate is it's boiling hot.
It's really hot right now, actually.
It's really hot right now, and it's definitely way above the average for Davos in January, which is very fitting for the third climate, which is, of course, climate change. That really is a dominant theme this year. The good news on that front, however, is that business is really stepping up. I was chatting with the Chief Environmental Officer of Microsoft yesterday.
One of your members?
He's one of my members. And they shared the really exciting 2030 goal to have negative carbon, which is a huge, ambitious commitment, and I think really sets the tone. WEF have also, with a number of different partners, announced that they will plant 1 trillion trees. That's funded by Salesforce. So a different way to offset carbon.
Yeah, takes a while. Trees, we know. They're important. It does take a few years depending on the tree.
It does
can take up to 100 years.
Yes, it can, but a start there. And even on the financial sector, Goldman Sachs and other organizations not funding companies that have polluting effects to the environment. So business is making some impact. So they're my 3 climate takeaways.
All right. And what else are you focused on this year for Global 50?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about the stakeholder piece, and we hear about that so much. And the one stakeholder group that we're really hearing a lot about are employees.
That's interesting.
Really interesting. So, you know, it's almost flipped the model, like what can employers offer employees, top talent, to come and work for organizations.
Do you think there's more of a competition? If you've put purpose at the center, do you think employees want to come?
I think they do. That's shown the case with companies like Unilever, who draw millennials. It's an amazing talent play. But really thinking about the changing expectations. Do you want your CEO and company to be vocal on societal and political events? You know, what is it that employees can offer? It's also interesting to see those conversations taking place outside organizations. So companies like Blind, where employees can anonymously discuss salary, culture, leadership. And also, Me Too, exactly. So the employee piece, I think, will just get stronger. It'll be interesting to see how that affects organizations in the future.
Sarah, thanks so much for stopping by Hub Culture, Davos 2020, and I'm Edie Lush.